Well, hi, Tina.
Hi, Dave. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Well, I can't actually see you. It's good to hear you.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to remember how to. There it is. Okay.
Hi, Dave. How was Canada?
Hi, Elizabeth. It was wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be back, though. So,
And it's requested vice chair.
what's
Uh,
that?
your audio is a little off, Elizabeth.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
It may be too loud when I put these earphone things in. How's that?
that's much better.
Is it? Okay. All right, now I've lost the picture. Where'd you guys go? Uh, earbuds. Okay. Now I don't see you anymore. Greg. Here we go. All right. Hmm.
Hi.
So David King was voted as vice chair, and so now you just get to be a regular guy for as long as you'll hang in there with us.
Well, that sounds pretty good, Elizabeth. I saw David this morning. He was riding his bike and told me all about being in Copenhagen and uh, confirmed that I was out. But it was very nice to see him.
Yeah. And we have a new member who will introduce tonight, Bruce Ehrlich.
Oh, I saw Tina's email the other day.
Yeah. Hi, David.
Hi.
I'm Rebecca. Hi, Brooke. Is that everyone? Yeah. Ah,
Okay. Good.
not too rugged a meeting tonight, it looks like.
Yeah, we're a little short on cases these days.
Well, that's okay because then we can put some time into the rules and regs.
Tina, why is that, do you think?
Um, I think it is economic. I believe there are forces in play that have changed the housing market. We're very housing market dependent here.
Okay.
Too much uncertainty.
Oh, I forgot to pause the recording. I think it's recording right now. And allow the attendees in. Okay, it looks like everyone is in the meeting now. So I think we're good to go, Elizabeth.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone to the September 9th public hearing for the Preservation Commission. So far with us tonight as commissioners, we have myself, chair. David King is our new vice chair. We also have David Jack, Elton Elprin, and Brooke Richard. And we're welcoming our newest commissioner, alternate commissioner, Bruce Ehrlich. And Bruce, why don't you say hi to everyone and just tell them a little bit about yourself?
Hi. um, Relatively new to Brookline, been here about a year and a half, and just wanted to do something to help out. I'm very interested in history and historical preservation, so here I am.
Well, we're so glad that you're joining us. And
Thank you.
So
and I have a lot to learn.
Well, we all learn on this job, believe me. Neither Peter Kleiner nor Arisa Boyd are yet on the call, so for the moment, I'm gonna appoint you to vote for Arisa. And if she comes on the call, we'll have to revisit that, okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So the first matter on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our August 19th public hearing. And I think Brooke, Arisa, Elton, and I were present for that, right? So any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I have several. Shall I just begin then?
Sure, go
Okay,
ahead.
quickly. Okay, line 67, I think it would be his belief rather than the belief. On line 113, I think it means to say interpreted rather than interrupted. On line 135, I think it means to say suggested rather than supplemented, or should say that. On line 160, reduced, it's been reduced, past tense. On line 219, I think it means specifically rather than specifical.
Wait, can you slow down a minute?
Sure.
Okay, I'm with you up to line 160. What was the one after that?
219, I think specifical should be specifically. Just got cut short, I believe.
Oh, yep.
222, I think it should say regulate what is publicly visible rather than regulate visibility. And then on 224, visibility of the attachment. I don't know what site means. Visibility of the attachment.
Wait, what line was that?
224 says attachment site, visibility of the attachment site.
Right.
Yeah, I think it just means it should be clear if it just said attachment, the visibility of the attachment.
Or addition?
I think that means an addition. I didn't go back.
I mean, let's call it addition, right?
Yeah, I think so. 71 Harvard. Yes, I think it means the addition. Then on 282, these are really minor. 282 within unindustrial condo building. Line 283, condo association, comma. And that is that I saw.
All right. Any other additions or corrections?
I thought that sounded very thorough. There's a few versions of my last name. It's Richard. I see.
I was
Richard,
wondering.
Richardson,
I've
and
been saying wrong. Thank you.
Not Richard hyphen David.
Right.
All right, if those are all the additions or corrections, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with those corrections.
And I will second it. I'm gonna call on everyone whether they were there or not, and it's up to you whether you want to vote. I vote yes. David Jack,
I'll pass.
David King,
I'll pass.
Elton,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
and Bruce.
I'll pass too.
Okay, all right, so those are accepted as amended. And the next item is public comment for matters not on the agenda. So if you're here to speak about a case or a matter that's identified on the agenda, we'll reach that, when we get to that specific item. But if anyone in the public has something that they want to comment, that's not listed on the agenda, this is your opportunity. And at this point, I always ask Tina to give everyone a little coaching session on how you ask to be heard.
I'm just demonstrating that first you must unmute yourself before any hearing can happen. So folks in the audience, you have controls for audio and video. They should be accessible to you at the bottom of your screen. So we will take public comment during this period and all the other periods in the same way. We will ask you to please raise your hand for the public comment period. If you look at the bottom of your screen in the center, you'll likely see the raise hand little icon. It's a hand. You can click on that to raise your hand. It might be hiding, depending on your screen or your viewer that you're using, it might be hiding inside of the react button, which has a heart symbol. So if you see a react button, just click on that and then look for the hand inside there. Otherwise, you can also message us in the chat. If you're having technical difficulties at any time, the chat will come to staff and we will help you get recognized. So we will take people in the order that they make themselves known to us. Elizabeth will ask staff to call on people in order, since we're the ones that can see that happening in the list of people. So at this time, I am not seeing any hands up in the audience, and there is nothing new in the chat.
Okay, thanks, Tina. And also, on the bottom of your screen, there's also a show captions icon so that people can turn on captions if that's helpful to them. All right. So I think we have one LHD case tonight and at 58 Irving Street. And Rebecca, I think this is your case?
That is correct. I'm just going to pull up my screen. Okay, so as Elizabeth noted, this case is at 58 Irving Street, which is located within the Pill Hill Local Historic District. For this application, the applicant is proposing to install a freestanding sign at the corners of High Street and Allerton Street. The proposed sign is to be 3.5 feet wide and 7 feet tall and will be constructed from wood and glass. For the applicable guidelines, while landscaping is generally not subject to design review by the commission, yard structures, including but not limited to fences, swimming pools, playhouses, and pergolas, are subject to review and approval by the commission. Due to the scale and nature of the sign, it does fall into the category of a structure for the purpose of this review. This project proposal was originally sent out for approval via a 10-day letter, and objections were received from abutters, which the commissioners have received in their agenda packet for this evening. Staff considers the proposed sign to have a minimal impact on the historic character of the property. The commission should consider the appropriateness of the sign and the proposed location. Now I will go through some slides. If I can figure out how to get to full screen. All right. Here we have the assessor's photo of the property, which is the Latvian Lutheran Church, and the assessor's map with the parcel in yellow. On the left, we have a photo of the building with the red arrow indicating the intended location for the sign. And then on the right side of the screen is a sketch of the proposed design with some dimensions there. And then they've also provided an example of a sign from another religious institution that they're looking to emulate. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca. Oh, I'll ask that later. Would the applicant like to add anything to the report?
I'm not seeing the applicant in the audience right now. So if someone is here on behalf of this application, you may unmute yourself and address the commission. I don't believe they're here.
All right. We've received several letters with public comment. And so those have been distributed and reviewed by the commission. But is there anyone from the public who would like to comment on this case?
We have one physical hand raised. Thomas, you may address the commission.
Yes, thanks very much. I did send a letter yesterday, and I hope you've had time, commissioners, to review that. My name's Thomas Mickey, and I live at 68 High Street, which is directly across from the apse of the Latvian Lutheran Church, a building I admire, a corner I pass multiple times every day. It's not clear to me, not to rehearse the point by point of every point I listed in the letter, but it troubles me that the applicant in the case report is different from the applicant on the agenda, and neither of them really church representatives, but both of them tenants of the church or programs that are held at the church. And there's already a church sign on Irving Street, which I think you're aware of. The size of the sign is also a matter of concern. I think living in a historic district, residents make many sacrifices and there are many benefits. And one of the benefits is the beauty of arriving at the top of Pill Hill. And I regret the prospect of a 9-foot tall sign blaring at that corner, and concerned that it will have movable type pushing letters promoting not the church but programs by tenants. So it is troubling to me, just the size. It's a really busy corner. There's already a sign there for the Clinton Path Preschool, which holds a daycare center in that corner, as you may know. So I am concerned. I think the purpose could be served by a sign at the front of the church on Irving Street, where there's already signage for the Latvian Lutheran Church. So those are my concerns. It's not clear about the materials of the sign or how it will be actually made, which is why I proposed a mock-up, although that may be overkill in this case. But in my line of work, mock-ups have been very helpful to see what we're actually going to be looking at if this goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. It appears Scott Scherer has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I live at 28 Allerton Street. That's the intersection of Allerton and High. I'm one building in from the corner. I too walk around that corner every day as I walk down the hill. And I agree that it's a really important corner, so you're welcome to Pill Hill. And I agree with what Tom wrote in his letter. I have two small things to add. One is, it is the church's property, but the plantings are very important to that corner. And the picture that they showed in the application, it is clear. And that's the side that faces Allerton Street. The side that faces High Street, which is the side that Tom's house faces, there's some beautiful plantings right there. And, you know, it would be really unfortunate if, you know, the sign goes there. It's kind of like this destruction of our quiet neighborhood. It becomes this, you know, all these activities are being posted there that don't necessarily relate to the church, and those plantings come down too, so that people coming from other directions see the sign as well. I worry about that. I also think it's just so curious to me that nobody from the applicant is here tonight to defend this thing. It just seems we just don't know who wants it. Does the church want it? Do people want to advertise their stuff there? It's just, it all seems misguided for, you know, a very important welcome to Pill Hill, quiet, historic. And while a sign itself doesn't necessarily do that, it's just, you know, how the sign is used could really be not so welcoming and satisfactory. as like the official entrance into the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I do not have any other hands up, and I have nothing new in the chat.
Right, then we will take it to the commissioners, and I would ask members of the public to let the commissioners debate and consult one another without interruption. So I just want to note that, you know, signage is a matter for the zoning commission. And I'm assuming that this is going to go before the zoning commission to look at the sign and make sure that it complies with zoning. But it's being brought to before us to look at the aspect of whether it's a suitable sign in LHD. So I'll just say that as a prefatory comment. So commissioners, what do you think about it?
Rebecca, can we see an image of the proposed signage again, please?
Yes.
So it's that little schematic, correct?
Yep. The schematic is what they've presented for dimensions, and then they included the image next to it of an existing sign at a different religious institution.
Right, and there's no detailing about what is going to be shown on the sign, or
Correct.
and it just says wood and glass. And okay, and my last question is, and this is kind of an unfair question. I know the sign being shown on the right as an example. That's quite common to see at a church, but I honestly have no idea how tall those signs are. And this is an unfair question, but do you have any approximate idea how tall these typical signs are for a religious institution?
This one in particular, I do not know. I did spend some time looking to see what other religious institutions had for signage, and it did vary. A lot of them had large rectangular signs that did look, they would be over 5 feet tall. But I don't know how tall this example sign is.
I see, and just
So I
one,
think, yeah,
yeah,
it just varies.
I see, and just one final question. We don't know, based upon the submitted drawings, what's going on within the area of the sign. Is that correct?
As in like where the letterboard would be, or
Well, it's suggesting that it would be a letterboard based
right.
on the example, but there's no, the applicant hasn't provided any more details. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca.
Yep.
Rebecca, this is David. Can you say anything about the public comment about who is the applicant? Is the applicant the church?
The applicant was the woman's name that I had listed on the agenda. The report, that was a legacy application, so that was a staff error that the report does not match the agenda. And I do not know what their association with the church is. We typically don't ask. The
So
applicant just applies.
we don't know if it's a church sign or a sign to tell about the daycare center activities. Because there is a big sign. I did see the big sign on the church about the daycare.
Right. So the daycare was not the applicant.
Is this sign, does anyone know what, so is the sign there to describe church activities?
That would be my guess.
we've reviewed a number of CPA applications from churches, and they've all made the point that churches nowadays, church buildings are community centers, and that they run programs in addition to church services. And there's, the buildings are, lovely old buildings that are probably too expensive for a parish to maintain without having, multiple use going on there. And their multiple use is what has qualified them for CPA funds. So I'm just wondering, I don't know that it should be held against the application that this is a church building that has multiple use.
Right, but often there are private daycare centers, like at St. Paul's, there's a private daycare center in the church.
Right.
So if you're putting a sign, the sign is, well, if the sign is being used for a public entity or a private entity, I mean, I think it would make a difference in how you review the sign, maybe. Because it's normal to have a sign in front of a church like this. I mean, this is a typical church sign that you would see on most of the churches of Brookline. But if it's really for the Clinton Daycare Center, which may be a private renter of the church, I think that's important.
Well, I think Rebecca said that it's not Clinton Daycare Center, that it's the name on the agenda, which is Ilona Kudina, who one of the public comment letters we got said that she is someone who works with a musical program that the church sponsors. So, I mean, we don't know because nobody's here to tell us. I mean, and I don't know how much we should look behind it. I mean, it may be that, everyone who uses the church had a conversation about a sign and, somebody said, I'll do the application. I mean, that's speculation on my part. I don't know. But I also don't know how much we should, if it's a legitimate application, I don't know how much we should be looking behind that.
No, I agree. But I do think the neighbors have a point. I mean, in seeing the site, I think that a sign, I think it should be mocked up. I mean, even if it's crudely mocked up, because it's going to be very high, especially high if it's going to, clear those shrubs in the corner. And I mean, it could be very imposing, and it is a very beautiful part of Pill Hill.
I have a couple of thoughts. I mean, first is I do think it's normal, and the church's maybe even almost obligation to have a sign that announces what they're doing when the pastor's giving a service. And sometimes I think I've seen, for example, on the sign on the church across the street from me, the Church of Our Savior, sometimes that board will also list some of the organizations that Elizabeth was referring to, like AA will be meeting there. But mostly it's to announce what is happening at the church and when the services are, like the sign, like the picture, like the photo that they present as an example. I think we have the right to know what it looks like, and I don't think that crude sketch does it. So I think I would be inclined to continue this until we have a more specific design. They do give a dimension of 7 feet. That's a little tall relative to some church signage that I've seen. So I want to think about that a bit. It seems to give but I would like to, but I don't think it's crazy tall. And it's not the 9 feet that was cited by one of the neighbors. So I think, And I think it's right for us to ask the church rep asking for the sign, if indeed this is about the church programs, you know, and that has a lot to do with what isn't a suitable sign. I don't think the sign would be suitable to advertise a daycare, really. I don't think the daycare center would want to do that in that sign, frankly. So I'm inclined to think we should continue it until we have more information.
I agree with the neighbors. I think that it is when you take the height of the sign and you put it on top of that mound and you potentially clear out the landscaping around it, it does seem sort of imposing. When you reach the top of that hill, it was described very well. You're sort of you feel you're in the heart of you're you know, on of High Street area, Pill Hill, and that would really take a lot of prominence up there. I just feel like it's better suited on the Irving side where people enter the church. It's very informative right there. There's a lot of land right there that makes sense for a larger sign. And it just feels like a good spot for people to stand and read the information, slow down and read the information. So I'm curious to know why I guess they want more people to see it as they're driving by.
Yes.
But but I don't know. I just feel like it's better suited for the quieter side.
I think
agree with
I
that.
think Brooke is right, exactly right about the size of it. I think when one of the neighbors said 9 feet, if you take into account that small wall and then the mound where the plantings are, from the street, that's going to look like it's 9 feet tall, or at least.
Dave, Jack, do you have any comment?
I made all my comments when I spoke.
Oh, I've already forgotten. Please excuse me.
Elizabeth, I will add that I think everybody that spoke after me did a very good job of my thoughts.
All right. Well, we seem to have a consensus. The problem is with no applicant here, we can only continue the case by agreement with the applicant. And so we can only accept or deny it tonight because there's no one here to agree.
So does that mean we continue the case?
We can't continue it unless we have the agreement of the applicant. So when there's no applicant here, we can't continue it.
I think we have to deny it.
Mm-hmm.
Can we deny it with this hint that we expect them to return? And does that causes a financial penalty to the church?
Well, they have to reapply. If it's continued, they don't have to pay the application fee, but if it's denied, I believe they do.
Well, they should have been here.
We can waive the fee. It's a church. It's not essential that there be a fee. And I think our bylaw says that within 14 days, if they reapply within that time frame, that there is no fee anyway.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion?
This is Dave Jack, and I make a motion that we deny the application.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we'll vote. I'll vote yes. David Jack?
Yes.
David King?
Yes.
Elton?
Yes.
Brooke?
Yes.
And Bruce?
Yes.
All right. In cases where a certificate of appropriateness has been denied, we're obligated to consider whether there's been any evidence shown that would merit consideration of a certificate of hardship. We haven't heard any evidence speaking to that matter tonight, but we still need to move on it. So I would move to deny a certificate of hardship at this time. Do I have it? But I'll pause and say, does anyone want to discuss that matter or ask questions?
I'm good, Elizabeth.
All right, then do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Let's vote. I vote yes. Dave Jack,
Yes.
David King,
Yes.
Elton,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
and Bruce.
Yes.
All right, so the certificate of appropriateness is denied and the certificate of hardship is denied. Moving on, the next item is public hearing on a demolition case for 54 White Place, but I understand that applicant has withdrawn the case for tonight, Rebecca.
Correct. Yes, they've asked to be moved, postponed till October.
All right. Other business, the next matter is, 25 Kennard Road, and I'll let, Tina explain that case.
Sure. So, commissioners, this is a request. Oh, sorry, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. This is a request from the tenants, the Brookline Music School, the tenants at 25 Kennard Road. This is a town-owned building that is located in the Town Green National Register District. And what we have tonight is just an advisory review of a project kind of proposal. There's not a lot of specific details, it's just kind of an idea that the applicants wanted to run by the commission before they get really heavily invested in the architectural design, to see if the commission would support the idea of moving forward with the plan. So I think what I'm going to do first is just scroll through the slides and let you see what we're looking at here. And then we'll have the folks from the music school describe what their project is and why they want to do it. So this is a photo of the Kennard House. This is taken from the street directly in front of the building. And you can also see the assessor's map of the property here. Yet another photo showing you more of the street and some of our site visit that we were having. More views of the building, a couple from each side. The change is on the porch, as you'll see in a couple slides. Did I go by one? Yes, I did. So the idea is to create a larger recital hall space. So you can see this is that street view again, looking into the building. What you're looking at is the former exterior wall has been removed, and the envelope has been pushed to the edge of the enclosed porch here, as you can see. And this is another view, so that you can see another perspective of what that would look like. And so that's all from me, and I'll turn it over to the music school and their representatives to talk about the reasons for the project. And I will say too that I am happy to move through the slide presentation at any time. David, are you planning to speak on this?
Sure.
And unmute yourself. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Yes, we are looking into the possibility of expanding the capacity of our recital hall. The current recital hall are the two interior rooms alongside the porch that have dividing folding doors that we open up to do concerts. And this space is just a lot cramped and a little too small for the programming we're currently doing. Recitals often require the performers not to be able to hear each other. They have to wait out in the lobby. And there are even times with parents have to stand out in the lobby, come into the hall and stand while their kid plays, and then leave again because we just can't accommodate more than 40 or 50 people comfortably in that hall. So we were looking at the possibility of making the performance and audience space bigger so it would be more comfortable and conducive to a better experience for the kids and the parents.
Do you want the text to speak?
You were kind of breaking up there, Elizabeth.
I was asking whether Mr. Turner was done and whether he wanted his architects to speak.
I am done. I don't know if Michael or Dario have anything they want to add to that.
Hi, I'm Dario DeMar with Haley Ward, and I've got Michael Gardner with me as well. Very simply, all we were doing, under David's direction was how do we make this more usable for, our program and still be sensitive to the historic district. And rather than try to push it out or expand, we're basically just taking what was a porch and trying to make it look almost how it looked before we enclose it by really putting glass everywhere around it. So if you kind of squint your eyes and look at it, it doesn't look any different. If we were, to light up the porch, it would look very similar. We don't have storage or junk on the other side of the glass. So it's really trying to make it look as close as we could possibly be to what's there, and still make it functional for us. It's pretty straightforward. And once in a while, when you look at it, you won't see the difference, but it's definitely different. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, so we're in the posture of an advisory review. We're not committing to anything, but at the same time, I think that applicants want to get an initial read before they put more resources into more specific designs.
I'd like to,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Elton.
I'd like to say, as someone who's sat through many concerts there, both children and even our very own cello playing commissioner, David King, I think it's a great idea to make that a more usable, spacious space. I have just two small comments. I think the balustrade that exists now is a very strong element. And if there's a way to incorporate that in the design, either by placing the glass in the wall behind the balustrade or maybe slicing the balustrade so it can be applied to the panels, I think it's just a little bit stronger, less bland than the panels that are shown in the rendering. And that's one comment. The other comment is, and I'm not sure of this, but I think if whereas you're showing a very slender steel-looking mullion system, I think something a little bit beefier might be more appropriate to the heft of the building. And I'm sure it could be, anyway, I'd be interested in seeing what that looks. So basically, I think this would be great.
I agree. I think that seeing glass there, this lit up sparkly glass with the musicians back there really brings it to life in all seasons. Sounds beautiful. Interesting. It's interesting. I imagine the experience of musicians will be very different. They're sort of on public display in a way. And you can see it when it's lit up, like really almost all the way to Walnut Street, I would imagine. I agree with Elton, though. The one thing I wasn't totally convinced about was the paneling at the bottom. There's some intricacy that I was missing with the balustrade that's currently there. So it's just a detail I'd look forward to seeing maybe more iterations of. That's exciting proposal.
Just a small amendment too. I think, and if the verticals that are in the transom were full to the sill, full high verticals, that might be nice too. It would be like the window, it'd be more like the windows on the second floor of in the rendering itself. And I think it's kind of charming to see people behind and through a system of mullions and muntins. You'd still have the visibility, but it would just be an interesting screen.
This is Dave. David was very kind. I've lost track, maybe 3 years ago or so. And when he gave me a tour of the Brookline Music School and explained schematic idea about expanding the performance space. I'm very familiar with music school. My daughters attended classes there. And as I said to David at the time, for any guidance for how to incorporate expansion with the porch, was to retain the important components of the porch. And this is just a schematic presentation, and I think the architect is on the right path in preserving the porch, expanding the space, and I will leave it to the architects to provide architectural guidance as to the detailing.
This is David. I think there's one element that strikes me in the elevation is the very strong pilasters at the corners, and it might be worth looking at. Are you going to be able to read those through the enclosed porch? Because those pilasters and that huge entablature at the top seem like strong elements of the existing building. But in general, I mean, it's a historic building, and I think the music school is doing a yeoman's work in just finding spaces there, and it's a great asset to the town. So I think I would definitely support the project.
I don't have anything to add except that, it looks like you're going in a great direction. The rendering is lovely, and it sounds like a very worthwhile project that serves the community. I think we've all spoken except Bruce. Bruce, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good.
Elizabeth, I thought I saw one of the architects raise their hands. I didn't know if they wanted to comment since we've all spoken.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and thank you for the comments. And this has nothing to do with the building, but you're lucky to have David. I know him from the past, from other music schools, and just a class act human being. But our direction was really to try to make it look almost exactly like it was now. And I think a couple comments that you put out there exposing some of the mullions makes perfect sense architecturally. So and I'm going to just throw this out there, if we're looking at taking, the transom, if you will, where we put a horizontal line in the mullions and dropping the verticals down, if that's acceptable, because we just wanted it to almost look like there wasn't enclosure. So we did more glass than I normally would do on a building, but trying to be sensitive historically without faking it, if you will. So if we do something, to me, if we bring down the mullions all the way, I would also bring them down. I'm just throwing this out there. If you look at the windows above, they're kind of a Palladian motif where the two windows on the side are narrow and the one in the middle is twice as wide. And if we did that all along there, then that would pick up the vocabulary of what's above as well, except just at a larger scale. So they're 3 equal spaces now. And if we do that, I think if we're going to drop them down, then I would drop them down and space them more proportionally to the two windows on the top on the outside. And to Mr. King's point, that spacing will almost a little bit celebrate what's going on behind it with the pilasters, because they're pretty big, but it'll make the corner columns, if you will, have a stronger feel to them on the corners with the mullions closer to them and going all the way down. So I'm throwing that out there, just listening to what you said. and trying to also not just do exactly what you said without thinking it through. But I think if everybody's okay with, you know, it not being quite as transparent, we're not making it transparent because we want to see outside. We were making it transparent to try not to do anything to, you know, take away from the porch that was there. So so everything made sense to me, and expressing the pilasters, whether it's with half round trim going all the way around, it just picks up that cadence. That's great. We can do that as well. But thank you for the comments. I just wanted to throw that out there because the comments made sense, and they were, you know, just, I think, well thought out.
I would just say, I don't think I'm not sure if I understood you correctly, but I think you're enclosing the porch, so I don't think you want to express the pilaster on the columns of the porch. It's just when you look through the porch, that you sense that the pilaster runs down.
Correct.
Behind the porch. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
You're muted, Elizabeth.
No, you're not. I think we just couldn't hear you.
Just having a little technical difficulty. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, if no one else has anything, and if you've gotten the feedback that you wanted, we wish you good luck on your project.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up we have a question for the commission about signs for demolition cases. So I'll just share. This one is pretty simple. Our bylaw allows us to require yard signs or signs at cases that apply for demolition to be posted to notice the hearings. And our question is, does the commission want us to do this? The ZBA now does do this for their cases. And what you're looking at here is a sample sign that they use to notify the public of their cases. And from the staff perspective, there have been a couple cases, especially cases that are noticed on an emergency basis, where it is very difficult to get notice out to the neighborhood at large, either because, I don't know, the required notice area isn't big enough. People are walking by the property, like a lot more people walk by the property than live adjacent to the property. So it might help spread the word. So that's all I have to say about that.
Tina, this is Dave. I think this is a great idea. I've seen many other communities do this, and I think it's invaluable primarily because it's the people that are walking by the property, they're going to see these signs, and people that walk by an affected property are going to most likely be residents of that neighborhood. And I think it's a valuable way of spreading the information that the status of a particular property is potentially changing.
Is this intended for just for full demolition or partial demolition as well?
It's an excellent question. We debated this a lot in chairs meeting, which way is fair. I think speaking for staff, we had initially suggested only for full demolition, just because the partials, you know, they're usually coming for a lift. It's usually less disruptive, but that's not to say we don't have partial demolition cases where the neighbors would like to know about the proposal. Oh, it looks like David King fell out of the meeting. I've got to pin him again. There we go. Yeah, so that is not indicated by the bylaw. That is up, that is whatever the policy that you decide to adopt will reflect what you decide.
I think I'd be inclined to require it for full and not for partial, because it just seems one more burden.
For whom?
Do you say burden for whom? For the applicant, for the homeowner. I mean, it's hard, it's already hard enough. I don't know. I just, it's a balance, I guess, between this sense that we can sometimes over bureaucratize our systems and yet sometimes not protect our resources well enough. I mean, for full demolition, I've got no question, I think. We don't like them generally. We don't want them. So why not let people know it's happening? But for partial, we often feel very kindly to helping people, you know, find ways to live better in their own place.
I agree with that.
As do I.
So do I.
So,
Okay. I don't think we need to formally vote. We are already allowed to do this. Staff was just looking for some direction, so we will likely go over the details, come up with a draft sign, etc., and bring that back to you for like a final check-in before we go live. These
Great.
signs do need to be purchased, but the planning department will pay for that. We don't have a budget, so we don't have to pay for it. It'll be just an office expense for the department. It's fine. Oh, lights. Okay.
You must be good at the backstroke.
Yeah, by now it's so difficult. It was all day sitting here waving. We're just too sedentary, I guess. Okay. So now for the main event in other business, the rules and regs. This, you have not received a red line from me for this meeting. There will be no discussion of grammar. We are just going to discuss big ideas, things that are changing, like policies that could change as a result of our revisions of the rules and regs. I want to draw your attention because the rules and regs, when you see the red line, it's terrifying. Like, I mean, there's blue and red everywhere. We've been passing it back and forth, several versions. There's a lot of reorganization to make things just make more sense. And then all the numbers are changed because I didn't like how it was done. Anyways, it's a formatting nightmare, but I want you to understand what the really important changes are so that you can direct your energy towards understanding those instead of getting distracted by the red line. So with that, I will share my screen. And having trouble figuring out how to make this go into, I guess you can see it well enough. I usually make it into full screen, but oh well, this is a different version. Okay, policy questions, rules and regs. We've got 8 slides, so here we go. One of the issues that we've discussed a lot is the order of operations at public hearings. The order in our regs does not reflect our current practice. And in our working group, which is staff and Elizabeth, we agreed that it was important for the rules and regs to reflect our actual practice. So I think we all leaned in favor of revising it toward what we actually do, but we're just running it by all of you to see how you feel about the changes that this will make and whether anything in the original as written regs is important to preserve. I think really the most, the important point here is the convening of the hearings. We don't formally convene hearings. We tend to just announce at the beginning that this is a public hearing, and our agenda announces the section headings, say public hearings, local historic district, public hearings, demolition, but we don't open and close the hearings on a case for each case. The regs as written currently indicate that that is how we would proceed. So really the question is whether we should change it so that it no longer says that, or whether we should go back to a more formal recognition of the hearing format.
Are you inviting questions or comments now or at the end?
Yeah, sorry, I should have said, I'm just going to stop after each slide so that we don't have to like go back through things afterwards. If anyone has comments, and again, we're not voting on anything. This is just a little bit more feedback, and so that you understand the issues that we're working through with the regs.
I'm supportive of this. I think what we do is just perfect.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I agree with Elton.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, Elizabeth, your audio is bad. Sorry.
Is this better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we do now is what, you know, since I came on the commission, it was how David King, Elton, and then David Jack convene the meetings. You know, there hasn't been any change to my knowledge. So just commenting that this has been our practice for quite a while. And it does seem to work okay. I think, you know, occasionally we have a little trouble with interruptions and so forth, but I'm not sure that we want to tighten the procedure more just because occasionally we'll have a, you know, kind of a disruptive case. I think we can just deal with those as they come up.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that as staff, the possessor of the master mute button. I feel like that's fine. And there was one more thing. Oh, one more small detail is that the original version, for some reason, says that the commission may then deliberate and make a determination, but need not do so at that time. We eliminated that need not do so language because we always make a decision. As far as I'm aware, that's the purpose of a hearing. I think we should make decisions, but.
Aren't we required to make a decision?
I mean, yeah, I had thought so, but I don't know. I don't know where that came from. We've never done things that way.
Because there's a timeline when you have to hear the case, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could potentially just never make a decision for years and years.
No, we are required to make a decision on deadlines in all cases, but the deadlines are different. Like we have 60 days for LHD cases. That technically means that by the time you guys see most LHD cases, you could sit on your hands for a month and say, bring it back to us again, you know, and not continue it at all. But we don't do that because, I mean, I just think it's sloppy from an administrative perspective. Why bother? We should just give people decisions.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think of is what we had tonight. We had an LHD case. The applicant didn't appear. We needed more information, and we, because you can't continue the case without the agreement of the applicant, we denied it. And the current reg would seem to say, oh, you know, you don't have to continue it. You can just let it ride.
It kind of seems to undermine the idea of a continuance. If a continuance is to continue, but you can just not decide, which is the same effect, that, right? Like that seems like a weird loophole. I don't know.
It would seem unfair to the people who were there to speak about the case, just to let it go indefinitely.
Should we move on?
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds like we're fine. So, okay. This is a small issue, policy for LHD certificate extensions. We don't have a policy right now. It's not written down anywhere what we should do. So, sometimes we get requests for really old certificates or large projects that maybe they've had other work done and approved in the meantime, and now they're coming back to like an old approval and saying, oh, but I also want to do this. But that change wasn't present when the decision on the work that had just been completed was done. You know, it's like, I don't know, it could be weird. So the policy proposal is just that the chair can basically send it back to the commission if they aren't comfortable issuing with the reissue, if they feel like something's changed.
A question and a comment
Hmm.
about that. Isn't there a time limit for expiration of our approval for a certain piece of design?
Yeah, so COAs are valid for 1 year. They have 1 year to obtain a permit and do work on the project. So if no work has been done within a year, that is the definition of an expired certificate.
Okay, so the case you're citing is where they get the approval. In 6 months, they do some other piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether that's with our approval or not. And then
Yes,
they come back
with approval.
with our approval, and then they come back. Okay, well, I think that's the point at which it should be noted that we already gave them approval for a first piece of work, because you want to know whether that first piece of work we gave approval for has any effect or bearing on the second piece of work. I mean, in fact, you just would have to, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
review that. So, and I think for the chair to do that seems excellent idea.
Okay. Great. Okay. We are adding some clarity to the demolition section. There's going to be a new section that outlines the demolition hearing process. Right now, we have general meeting procedure at the beginning of the regs. We have a section on LHD hearing process, but we have no section on demolition hearing process. And our demolition hearings have a very specific process. We expect people not to speak about their plans for future additions at the first hearing. There's all kinds of rules and they're just not written down anywhere. So we thought, let's write them down. And these are 3 of the bullet points that we came up with for demolition and the hearings. And also we've included a reference here that it's kind of like we do for the LHD guidelines. There's like a citation that says, we expect the commission to develop guidelines. So this is an indication about those National Register District guidelines that we saw many years ago at this point for the Brookline Village National Register District. We did not approve them at that time because they didn't fit like really within our regulatory process. They were not a good fit and maybe weren't written that well, a combination of factors. But this would allow us to develop such guidelines in the future.
I had never noticed it wasn't in the rules and regs until seeing this, but it seems to me under point number 1, the third sentence seems redundant to the material that's already in 5.3.5, which spelled, Article 5.3.5 spells out what we live by. And so why have an incomplete summary of a piece of it in the last sentence. I would just scratch, I think I just scratched the last sentence. In other words, scratch in addition to historic and architectural significance, also consider social and cultural, because that's already in 5.3.5.
It is. The only reason that it got written out as something extra is because architects and the other case representatives never seem to read that part. But I agree with you, it is already stated and hasn't stopped us before from using 5.3.5 as it's written, not as it's understood by the applicants.
Yeah, I think we just need to refer people to 5.3.5.
Okay.
Which you do that in every report.
Yes, of course. Yes. We try to make it clear. People just don't like to read.
Well, I have a recent case. I think it was well, it doesn't matter. It was during the significance hearing, the attorney for the applicant was contesting significance. And he said, commissioners, you're not being fair. This should really be, you should be joining the first part of the sentence to the second part of the sentence, and you're only reading the second part of the sentence, which is the social and cultural context of the building, as independent and not conjoined with the first part. Given that we do interpret it that way, I'm just stating out loud the argument for including this would be to give applicants more information, more anticipatory guidance about how we regularly interpret the bylaw. And while you guys are pondering that, as to number 3, I will just say that at the beginning of 2025, Polly Selko from planning asked to meet with preservation staff and me and David Jack, who was vice chair at the time. And one of the things, she wanted to talk about what the commission's priorities would be for the year. But she also wanted to ask us to tell us that the planning department would be very much in favor of us developing guidelines for buildings in National Register districts. And so without committing to doing that at this moment, depending on circumstances and staffing and particular projects, this would lay the groundwork in our regs that we hold ourselves out as having the authority to do that.
Isn't that what's being done 2 slides from now? And all those rules about any National Register properties?
Not quite. We'll get there. The guidelines were specific to the district. So I think the triggers, what you're talking about is the triggers for demolition in the National Register district, which are the basis for the guidelines. The guidelines were intended to show people how, in the affirmative, how they could alter their buildings and comply with our standards. The triggers are kind of in the negative, like thou shalt not touch the.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go on. So the definitions of demolition are spelled out more clearly. And so this definition right now is just cited as existing in the diagrams. So I don't think it doesn't say these points out outright in the regs. So we're putting this in so that we can include the diagrams in Appendix A, because the diagrams are not published anywhere. They used to be an appendage on the paper application, but the way that Acela is now, there's no way to like make the diagrams part of the application. It just wasn't possible. So now they're in no man's land. But very soon, well, when we adopt this, they would be an appendix to the rules and regs, and we could they could be posted on the internet and, you know, more readily publicly available.
Seems like a great idea.
Okay. And this is the character defining features on National Register properties. This section has been revised, but I will say it remains mostly intact. These points are more or less as written in the existing regs. What we've removed is in the introduction and then down below these regs, there were references limiting the application of the section to cases involving the installation of synthetic siding or trim. That has always seemed odd to staff, and it's not professional practice to limit character defining features based on what they are being replaced with. And the last note I have here is that we are adding, or we have possible to add at the bottom criteria I, kind of a catch-all, like, and anything else we can think of that we feel is significant. The commission should consider whether this is an overreach. Does it push it too far? Do we want this just in case? It's just there, and so we should discuss it. And I do also want to highlight that a lot of these bullet points, and again, these are as written, so we didn't really mess with them too much. We just put them in as they had been. But for example, H with the chimneys, it is very specific, and it says the removal or amputation of chimneys and exterior walls. That means we would have no review, and it would not trigger demolition to remove a chimney not located in an exterior wall, located in, for the middle of the building or somewhere else, but not in the exterior walls. So we should consider these. If you want to discuss any of these points, please go ahead.
I have a general question about just, not the content really, but just the way in which they're posed language-wise. I think it seems to me that the first sentence, covering over and or removal and or modification of a substantial portion of the following, is enough that you don't need to restate it. For example, in A, replacement or removal of windows, I would just scratch that whole phrase and I'd say windows and doors, and probably add there the side lights and transoms. You know what I mean? I would do that over and over again, because, I think that could be done in A, B, F, G, and H.
So list them as character defining features.
Yeah, I mean, in other words,
Outright.
Take H, removal or amputation of chimneys and exterior walls. You've already said removal or modification above, so just list chimneys and exterior walls. And then maybe chimneys inside the building too, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not a content question, really.
Okay.
Maybe,
I
what?
agree with that. I mean, if you're changing this, someone could say you're changing the proportion slightly and it doesn't really make a difference to the window, or I don't know that it, I mean, you can change a window in a lot of different ways that some people would think are insignificant.
Well, but then we'd review it and we'd decide it's insignificant.
Or a window and door trim. I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, this just flags it for review, basically.
That's true.
But this just says covering over and removal.
Or
or
modification.
modification of a substantial portion. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't think changing trim around a window is a substantial modification.
Haha, well.
Because
So,
they
haven't
have
than
not
us.
yet been enlightened by you.
so,
What are you doing? Hands off that brick mold.
so this list, I will say, is limited. It's kind of suggested in number 1 where it says a substantial portion, but that's not the exact phrasing in the bylaw. The exact phrasing is systematic. The changes to said things must be, quote, systematic. I've discussed this definition with legal. They were not comfortable telling us what it means. They were comfortable with us deciding what it means. And deciding the extent to which we wanted to spend time in court, I guess.
Well, I mean, the history of this, I think some of us at least know the history is that the only reason anything was defined as character defining features in National Register of Districts to be flagged was that insertion of that systematic removal and covering up. And it all began with siding. This is the history I got from Dennis. And so it was, he inserted that as sort of the wedge following which we want to rationalize and frankly expand the power.
I think systematic is a very bad word.
Yeah, terrible. But it's in the bylaw.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to change it easily. I would
this
know.
list is good. And
Yeah.
I think I is good because there may be something like, a special brick pattern or something that, people wouldn't pay attention to. And
Yeah. Those little nubblies that are on the picture, the house, gosh, what street is that? Kent Street, maybe? There's that brick house with like those half round nubbly things on that. I don't even know what you would call those. Raised dots.
Oh,
in the
yes.
photo in the
High
LHD guidelines.
Victorian. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Right. What are those?
Nubblies. I don't know.
I think they have a word.
They may. I don't know. Baubles? That's what they're called in crocheting anyways. Anything further on this?
Talk about whether the chimney should be confined to exterior walls. I don't think they should be.
no, it should be removal or amputation of chimneys, period.
So could we circle back to Elton's point about stating this list as things rather than actions? Do other commissioners support or not support that idea?
What was Elton's idea?
That this list should not read as actions, but as things, as a list of character defining features rather than as a list of things that you might do to them.
Well, only a few of them. Some of them are features and some of them are actions.
Some of them are actions, and I think he was intending to purify the list towards only actual things and to have the actions identified in the opening sentence.
I'm just trying to rationalize it because the action is all there in the first sentence.
Yeah.
And that's all the action we need, I think. We don't have to repeat it. So just to streamline it.
From a staff perspective, I think it's worth having the redundancy just for the Windows one, because people don't seem to understand that replacing the window is changing the window. They always say, but we're putting the same thing back. And it's like, no, you're replacing it. So I think that would be the only place I would leave it, just for the extra redundancy.
I like a little action. I mean, I would make them all active instead of just things.
Okay. We'll look at it. We'll look at the wording and see where it's useful.
Great.
I feel like we should do a little disclosure about the staff process for systematic, just so since we're talking about it, the commission's here, we may as well just tell you what we do. We kind of loosely defined it as most of the thing. So whatever the thing is they're changing, say they're replacing windows. If they are replacing 3 windows, we're not going to trigger demo on that. We feel that that does not I mean, unless the house only has 3 windows, assumedly there, if it's just a small percentage of all the windows, we don't trigger demolition. So the effect is that they could replace all the windows in the house by applying for 2 or 3 at a time. And we just feel like we're limited by our language there. That's that.
We need another warrant article then, huh?
I would really not want to stand on the floor of town meeting and discuss the word systematic and its meanings or staff interpretation of it. Make the legal department speak. Okay. Anything final on this?
The catch-all, the number I. I think I had asked for that because it just, first of all, this is a common thing in legal construction, is to have a little trapdoor or a catch-all provision, because you can't think of everything, you know, and you can't anticipate every circumstance. And I'm not knowledgeable enough about architecture to be confident that A through H covers every character defining feature. So I just don't know if others on the commission feel friendly towards adding I, or whether you think the A through H list is exhaustive.
I'm for I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Demolition by misadventure. So the first take on this section at the staff level was to revise this to improve readability. We added B. That is just pulling one provision of section 5315 into the daylight here so that it reads a little less scary. But this year we had a misadventure. 50 Vernon collapsed, apparently due to lack of structural consideration on the contractor's part and the addition of a light snow load to the building. They did not intend to fully demolish the building, but they had applied for partial demolition and ended up fully demolishing the building inadvertently. This section says that they are guilty until proven innocent, and all these consequences, 2-year no build, etc. When the building department came to me and told me about 50 Vernon, and I then read him this section, he was very taken aback. He had no idea that we had this rebuttable presumption clause in our rules and regs. And yeah, Paul was like, his head was blowing up. It was already was blowing up because a building was in pieces and there were crushed cars and it was a nightmare. But yeah, it was tough to deal with this section in practice. And then we started around this time, or like really this whole year, we've noticed a pattern of panicked homeowners and or insurance agents calling our office and requesting all of our regulations regarding acts of God that destroy houses and what happens, what is the requirement in a historic district. And they are threatening to pull people's insurance based on this. We so far have never provided them with the rules and regs when they make this request. We give them the demo bylaw and say, that's all we know of, thanks, bye. But this is still in our regs and we know that. I think staff is at this time recommending that this entire section be removed because it's not necessary. Section 5315 is applicable to all violations of the demolition bylaw. This is just one of the types of demolition. And I don't want to get involved in deeming anyone guilty or innocent in a case of negligence that involves the destruction of property. I think that's a matter for the courts. So.
Right, I think you're right. I mean, really, guilty until proven innocent is exactly what that is. I never even noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was originally drafted for arson, cases of arson. Tina, have you talked with legal about us removing this section, whether they have any opinions about it?
I didn't ask them yet. I certainly will before,
Okay,
I just wanted to see if the commission is comfortable with it. But then we'll point it out to legal for sure.
okay.
Yeah, that's great. A rebuttable presumption.
Yeah.
I should use that more often. Yeah, I think it must have come because of that arson case. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Dennis must have written this right after the arson case on Spooner Road. But
Did Dennis write this too?
I think he wrote the rules and regs.
That was my understanding. Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay. Good. So support for removal. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Great. I think homeowners will be very happy to not have this hanging over them, even though they don't really know it's there. Okay. So in other changes, I haven't shown you everything here. Obviously, I explained at the beginning, we're reorganizing and clarifying the structure and the wording of the whole document, getting rid of long run-on sentences with multiple I's all in like one continuing line, breaking it out into bullet points, trying to make it easier to read. The section on mitigation and lifting the stay of demolition. So I don't know if people remember, but I had previously done a rewrite. That was like the first thing I did in the rules and regs. This was probably a year or two ago. Early in the year, like in a meeting where we were doing our planning in January or February of maybe 24, but I think it was probably 24. Anyways, I did a rewrite. You have looked at it already. We didn't vote on it at the time. But I just felt like there were more changes in that than I really wanted to discuss tonight. You have already reviewed the red line of that section, so we can discuss that when we have our meeting to officially go through, and we'll have a more substantial discussion at that time about that section. And reasonable accommodation. This is the final big issue. We have asked but not received for any guidance on these policies for either the LHD or the demolition bylaw from legal. I wrote them, but received nothing back, and I don't know, I just have no idea what's happening. So at this time, staff is not recommending that these be included because we simply don't know what the rules are, and I just don't have any support from the town. And so we would essentially be going ahead of the town in terms of making policy for reasonable accommodation, which I don't know if is really our job to do that.
Has the Attorney General responded to the town's warrant article?
Not yet, no. That might be why legal's not saying anything. They're just waiting. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this, the pros and cons of us trying to say, there are going to be cases, both LHD and demo cases where the new town bylaw is not implicated, and so the Preservation Commission is going to be addressing reasonable accommodation cases without any procedure or policy in place, which leaves us vulnerable. So we've talked about, taking the policy that Tina had written and, what it would look like if we went ahead and incorporated it. But I do think, I don't think we should get that far out in front of the town. I think we need to let things play out and, see if the AG, has any refinement of the warrant articles, see what policies the town may put into, whether they'll, once the warrant article is enshrined in the bylaw, whether they'll write a policy. We just kind of have to let that play out a little bit that's the thinking of Tina and Rebecca and I. But as always, up for discussion.
I agree.
Says that, Tina and Rebecca have worked hard on this. I don't know how much Mary Beth has been involved because, she just started working recently. And, I've had several meetings with them, and since Tina is leaving in November, I think it really behooves us to try to capitalize on the time and energy that she's put into this and try to do as much work as we reasonably can on it before Tina leaves. And then we'll just have to continue from there. But it's a good use of resources to try to do what we can while Tina can still be involved with the process.
A Tina legacy.
Yeah, the rules and regs. I never thought we'd get through them. We may still not, who knows? But I would like to ask you for a meeting in September, which is currently underway. September is a morning meeting, perhaps later in the month, to review the actual red line. I think enough of us are here to talk about a date if you have the appetite to do so. It's only 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe the week, so right now is the 9th. I would want it to be at least the week of the 22nd, or the following week on the 29th. People around those weeks?
I am.
I'm here I think for 3 days, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and then I don't know when I'll be back. Actually, no, I'm not even here for the 25th. I might be here for the 23rd, and then returning maybe on the 29th or 30th. So I'm
Okay. Well, I mean, we could still do the end of the week. I don't know what is more preferable to you. In the beginning of October. Well, that's October. I was just I'm trying to move this along so that we can maybe, if we have a meeting to revise, and then I can do those revisions, bring it back to you potentially at another meeting in October. That was the idea.
23rd.
The
I'm sorry, I
23rd.
couldn't hear. Me?
Yes, you can do the 23rd.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be, yes, I will be back.
Then let's look at that date. I mean, that date's okay for me.
23rd. In the morning, the commission is usually liked pretty early. Can we do 8:30? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Tina, are you gonna be around on the 23rd?
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you
you're
want to take those days
right.
off?
You're right. I am on vacation those days. That's right. I'm supposed to be off on the 23rd. Well, the very first day, Elton, could you do like Thursday, the 2nd of October?
Yeah, October is open for me.
Okay. That's a Thursday. A Thursday morning's okay
Yeah,
with other folks?
it's just beautiful.
That's fine with me.
8:30 a.m. on October 2nd.
Rules and regs.
Rules and
Okay.
regs. Thanks, Rebecca. I don't know what I was
You're
thinking.
welcome.
I literally just told them that I was taking that day off today.
Yeah.
And then I forgot.
Is this in person?
It could be if you want. I'm open. Oh, I'm not there on Thursday though, so I won't be there in person. I think we should do it online actually, because with a red line, it's nice to put the red line on the screen and have everyone have like equal ability to see the red line while
Okay,
it's up. So why don't we just do it on Zoom?
all right.
So I will, great, I'll schedule that. And we'll look to have at least one more meeting. We'll see about the October hearing. If the October hearing, if we get to a good place and the October hearing is light, maybe we can take care of it then, but otherwise later in October. And just also a heads up, we are going to need to have a meeting that can be in the morning. It does not have to be at night, regarding CPA. Because people are starting to request support letters for their applications for the next round of funding. So we figure we just have one meeting, have it in the morning sometime later in October.
And speaking of CPA. So,
yes.
yes, so, Risa had told us at the last meeting that she would, like to move off of being a representative for the, CPA committee. And, had suggested Brooke as a replacement. And so, she had, tendered her resignation to the CPA committee, I guess last Saturday, by email. And Brooke and I have talked about it, and she is willing to be our representative, and just so grateful. It's an important job, and it's really glad that you're stepping up for us, Brooke. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm looking forward to, like I said, learning more about it, and hop right in there and see how it goes.
So I believe the procedure, so it's too bad Arisa's not here tonight, but I talked to the chair of the CPA committee, who told me that Arisa has resigned, so, and the chair, Nancy Heller, said, we really want to represent it from Preservation Commission, and it would be great if that could be in place by the October 20th meeting. So if we can vote to recommend Brooke tonight, we'll recommend her to the select board, and then the select board makes the formal appointment. So
we
yeah.
have a motion?
Yeah, sure.
I'll make a motion to that Brooke Richard be our representative to CPA.
Great, I'll second. So let's vote. I vote yes. David Jack?
Yes.
David King?
I vote yes, that Brooke, whose husband's name is David, become a glorious member of the CPA.
Elton?
Yes.
Brooke? Oh, yeah, Brooke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for your confidence, everybody.
And Bruce?
Yes.
All right, excellent. I'm so glad we could take care of this, and so happy that Brooke is willing and happy to do it. She's not being pressed into service.
Yeah, no, I'm interested definitely to learn more about it and to just be more involved. It works with my schedule, so it's sort of meant to be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so next steps on that, Tina, should Brooke be in touch with the CPA, with Lindsay from CPA?
I sent an email today with Lindsay CC'd. So yeah, let me so what I will do is I will let Lindsay and the select board know that this recommendation has been made, so that they can finish the appointment process.
Okay.
And Brooke already has Lindsay's email, so they can talk. And I'm also happy to talk with you, Brooke. Just give you some context for, I guess, what preservation, like what our interests are in that committee and what we need to look for when we're looking at projects. Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. Thanks.
Great. Super. And we do want to make one more announcement for tonight. We just want to point out that the next two hearings are a little wonky. They're not on their normally scheduled days. So the hearing in October is on the 7th. That's actually the first Tuesday in October. These were all moved because of conflicts. Either there was some kind of Jewish holiday, or it was town meeting, or some other thing that we like. Yeah, I don't know what other things. Election, we're not allowed to have it on election day, but in any case. And in November, the hearing is on the 10th. And these schedules were posted a while ago, but since they're coming up, I wanted to highlight it. The 10th is a Monday. So very much hoping that doesn't conflict with the CPAC meeting for Brooke.
yeah.
I don't know when they meet, but we'll find out if it does.
I think they do meet the second Monday. So then it may be a conflict, and probably will be a conflict. In October, they're not meeting the second Monday for reasons I can't remember why, but they're meeting on the 20th.
Okay. All right. There were very few options for hearing dates in November because of these Veterans Day being on a Tuesday, preceded by Election Day, which was also on a Tuesday. We couldn't have hearings on either of those days. And I don't know about the 18th. That is the third Tuesday. If we think we're going to have problems on the 10th, I'm putting the quorum bug out there now, like speak up if you can't go to this meeting on the 10th, so that we can get ahead of any schedule problems.
I have a commitment on the 10th.
You can't go? Okay.
Oh, not the 10th, the one in October,
In October, you can't go. Okay.
the 7th.
2, 10, 7. Okay. All right. Well, anyone else, if there's problems, email me. If we're in danger of quorum, I will let you know.
All right. Heck, it's 8:16, pretty good.
Nearly a record.
Quick
All
question
right.
before we adjourn, and that is, Tina, are you leaving in November?
Yes, I am leaving in November, on November 4th. Well, November 4th will be my last day. Yeah,
I
you
see.
were away, Dave.
Yeah, I didn't know this. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I finally decided that my 3-hour one-way commute is not sustainable. So
Okay.
that might be a newsflash to people, that you shouldn't have to commute 3 hours to work. But for me, it took a while to understand that. I really like working with you all.
Thanks.
Wow.
Oh, it's just been wonderful, absolutely wonderful working with you.
Yeah, likewise. I've learned a lot.
And it's been what, 5 years, 6 years?
6.5, over 6.5, I think.
And a half.
Yeah.
It's a very respectable tour of duty, Tina.
I mean, yeah, I have to congratulate myself. Like, I outlasted every preservation planner since Greer by like twice,
That's good.
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's right.
all while driving 3 hours one way.
At your age, it seems like a long time, I suppose.
You get less
Well,
for stealing cars.
less for stealing cars? Huh?
You get less time,
Yeah.
Less.
prison time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Well, and I know Rebecca's gonna step up, and we're all gonna love working with her. And my understanding is that I know we're gonna interview, Polly and I are interviewing Rebecca for the senior preservation position on Thursday. And then I don't know whether Mary Beth is interested in taking on more hours or where that stands, but Polly did mention something about that, but I don't know if you guys have any intel on that.
I think she
Not
said
much more
yay.
than that.
She said yay.
Yeah.
When someone indicated that she could possibly work more, she said yay.
Okay.
I
So,
don't know.
as,
Polly wanted us to just keep in mind that the town moves very slowly. And it
Mhm.
sounds like they can move quickly with Rebecca, but maybe the transition, because the hours are the same for the two positions for Rebecca to change, but it is more work for the town to change a non-benefit employee into a benefited employee. So that
Mhm.
one might take a little longer.
Okay. All right.
Well,
All right,
I'll
guys.
see you all again anyways, because it's not
Yes.
November yet.
That's right. All right. Well, let's adjourn. Good night, everyone.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.